Greetings, Dapplings, and welcome back to Humankind, where we continue the tale of the wonderful city of Manu and her peoples, where we have just begun researching artisans' quarters in hopes that we will be able to start tapping into some of those luxury resources that we have off our coast. Now, back to the action. In terms of connecting adjacent outposts, well, in the next turn we're going to be able to find out about that, because finally that outpost will be ready and we can have a look at what will be involved in that. It does look like we have lost the territory there, the shelter that we could have raided. Perhaps I should have done that earlier. But we can turn on auto explore, and right now I'm going to say that would be a good option. It'll certainly reduce the micromanaging that is involved. For these units, however, I'm going to tell them to... Well, actually, you can auto-explore as well. You, however, I want to very carefully control you. I need you to go down the river so that you can heal, because you are very low on health. You, I'm going to control directly, as you're right on my borders, and the same with you. Okay, time to end our turn. Okay, another nomadic tribe has entered the ancient era with their Hittites. Very well. And with that, let's have a look at our idle armies. Now, how do we want to explore? I would actually very much like to have a look and a nosy on Shen's lands. Now, the reason for that is that I can, given our current trade agreement, purchase access or purchase a license to any resources that Shen has, any luxury resources. But I actually have to be able to see them in order to purchase a license for them. So that's the bonus there on actually exploring out there. Could you... Well, since you're here, go ahead and heal up. Oh, that jumped somewhere I wasn't expecting. Okay, well, we got a little bit more that we could do here. Sure, let's get a little bit more gold. Well worth it. We'll go for another instant resolution. There we go. We've lost a decent amount of our strength now, sadly, but we've also uncovered a new site. We've got a curiosity down here. Do we have enough moves? We don't, but next turn we will. Okay, very nice. Now that we've got Arneb, though, we can have a look in at Arneb. Arneb is going to grow its population. 0.4 plus 1 in 3 turns, given the amount of food that it's generating. It is also generating industry, and it is also generating influence. I can move this. If I've got 11 influence, you can move it around, which is a wonderful ability. You can only do that with outposts. You can't do that with settlements. It does take turns to do, but it is super nice that you can do that, because you can just slap down an outpost in order to claim an area, basically. Even if it's not necessarily in the best spot, and then move it later for a cost of influence and some time. But it is well worth it. We can evolve this into another city. I can control 2 at the moment for 160. It's rather a lot. Alternatively, I could try and yoink it for 30. We'll get there nice and fast, and I don't see any reason why Manu can't claim that territory. But also, you can make a case for attaching outposts versus just planting down as many as you can and as aggressively as you can to try and claim room and either to secure your borders or to block in your opponents so that they can't lay claim to very nice areas. For example, this one I would very much like to drop down a territory all the way down here. Now that would unfortunately cause a little bit of a stir with Shen, because we would be settling borders right next to them. They're not likely to enjoy that, so we'll try and avoid that one for now. But we're actually gaining a good amount of influence right away. Oh, fantastic. Our people they're not just looking for new land. They're not just trying to explore new land. They are actively grabbing opportunities. That's fantastic. So curiosity collected, we found one that gave us some extra research points and some extra influence, and that is marvelous. Okay, and acknowledge that one. With that, we don't actually have an easy way to see our influence spreading, but later on that we'll actually be able to have an overlay to show us how our influence is moving around the world. Another curiosity has been collected, 20 gold. Very, very nice indeed. And now we've got a couple of units that can suffer having a bit of a recover of health. Now, you are ultra low on health. I would very much like it if you would just trek back. I know it's going to take you out of exploring mode for a while, but it is going to be super useful for you not to die. That would be quite bad times, all things said and done. Let's spend a few turns just to peek. We might have been able to spy if they had any clams or anything like that, but oh well. Right, now, as I mentioned, even though we don't have open borders, all that restricts is me moving in here. It does not restrict me moving into a territory controlled by an outpost. So that is another reason why it is generally a nice idea to absorb territories, especially ones close to the border, because it will prevent other civilizations from moving freely within your lands. That might not be a big concern for you, but I definitely feel that controlling where people can move around does kind of give you more time then to exploit the land behind your kind of front lines, if you will. Right, there we go. So we've finished our influence gain, which is fantastic. We're now up to 12 per turn, which is absolutely wonderful, because that means that we can absorb Arneb, and that includes all of the Nun resources in Arneb, but still it will give us access to all of the food that's being grown around Arneb and the industry. Now, one of the things that I touched on was this is the initial area that we can work, but that can be improved. However, it's improved by building districts, and then you gain access to the areas around the district. The best way to visualize this is if I place this here, all of the tiles that suddenly go from 0 to something, so for example, even though these tiles show that they've got an industry value of 2, we're not working those tiles, so they're effectively giving us nothing. But by building anything really, this counts as a maker's quarters, so I'll actually demonstrate it with this. So +1 industry and +1 industry per adjacent maker's quarters. If we pop that there, these tiles will become available to us to be worked, and because of our legacy bonus of adding an extra industry point to any tile that produces industry, instead of producing 2, the surrounding forest will go up to producing 3, but they will then be being worked by my city. So future makers' quarters could be built on those tiles, and that is how you expand the borders. But by absorbing an outpost, I'll get access to building anything around these worked tiles. Basically, as long as it's being worked by someone, I can build a new district there, which may expand out where I can work the land further. And that is definitely something to bear in mind, because having lots of industry, lots of outposts, and positioning them carefully will give your cities that then absorb those outposts a new kind of foothold in more distant lands that they can then work. There is a bit of strategy to even just where you place things like that. Farmers' quarters, likewise I can put that there, but notice how that isn't giving me access to the forest. It's because the forest doesn't produce anything that the farmers' quarters would be able to work. This is purely food. But let's see, somewhere over here. This would actually make this tile available to us to work, because it is producing food. If I went there, this would make this tile available to me, and I could place a farmer's quarters there, which would give me access to these 2. Now, you might be wondering why I can place a farmer's quarters on a tile that isn't producing food. Well, districts can go anywhere. As you can see here, though, I will give up the industry that I'm producing here to place the farmer's quarters, and it'll only give me a tiny bit of food. It would be a very poor decision to place it here, but over here, it's not as bad of a decision because it gives me access to this tile should I want it. But ultimately, I want to build the Egyptian pyramid. +1 influence is going to be very, very handy. +3 industry instead of +1 industry. I will lose stability by building the district. That's just the way that one's going to go. And +1 industry per adjacent maker's quarters. This one gets +3 industry per adjacent maker's quarters. So surrounding this with other maker's quarters, a very powerful move. Let's go ahead and place that there. It's going to take us 3 turns. Again, explaining the mechanics early on means that we're not going to have to, brush over it later on. I do appreciate it does extend the length of the first episodes and doesn't mean we get as much ground covered, but it kind of sets the foundation, I'm a castle builder at heart because I come from Wales, and so when I start things out, I like to make sure I start them out well, so that later on, the castle that I can build on those solid foundations won't, sink into a swamp or any other nonsense like that. Though again, I could just build more castles on it until eventually the swamp turns into a foundation of castles. It is a long-term strategy, but it is a valid one, I feel. Nevertheless, right, you're healthy, so I want you to start exploring automatically. And with that, the rest of my armies can start making their moves. Ooh, I've discovered a breathtaking Shat Al Arab River. Where's that? Okay, I guess that is the Shat Al Arab River? Interesting. Let's move right in there. It doesn't really tell me anything particular about it, but... Okay, maybe... Oh, there we are. No, there we are. It is actually written on there. That's quite nice. Okay, acknowledge. That river is just going to be very bountiful for us. As you can see, a lot of food potential down here. Setting up an outpost down here, then linking it to Manu will mean that Manu is going to have no particular food problems for an awful long time. And this will be very, very nice. Okay, I can see your marble and your obsidian. I'm already going to have marble, hopefully. But that is definitely something that we want to access. You've already got 2 makers' quarters set up there, Shen. Well played. Very well played. You're a bit ahead of us. Oh, no, sorry. You've just finished that maker's quarters. That one is perhaps queued or on the build. Can't quite tell, but either way. Culture chosen. We're getting very close to the point where everyone is going to be in the ancient era now. And we've gained a population at Manu. Hooray! What exactly does that mean? If we look in there, that population is now working food for us. We can have 1 of 2 people there, 1 of 2 in industry, 1 of 2 in money and in science. So the makers' quarters will give us more worker slots in the city. Same with the farmers' quarters, so on and so forth, and we'll be able to then move excess population into producing these. We're going to get a new person here in 6 turns. We're currently producing 9 food. Our industry is going to go up very quickly once we've got that pyramid built. Let's continue scouting out the edge around here. We've got something over there we
Time for
want.
your first battle?
Oh.
I bet you're absolutely dying to see how your fighters handle themselves.
Well, not great, Shen, you scallywag. New grievance available. You may ask for reparation. This is an interesting one. We'll cover that in a moment, though. Basically, early on, if you haven't specifically set up a treaty to this point, whilst you're not allowed to engage any people within a city's borders, in the outpost, it's kind of a no man's land, and little engagements here and there. That's okay. All right, let's open up the battle. We're fighting against... it doesn't actually tell us, I don't think. Okay, well, we'll go into a manual battle here. Who are we against? We've got to defend our flag because they are actually attacking us. So this is the whole idea. As long as we can hold this, then we should be fine. Manual battle it is. I don't strictly know what we're fighting against. Was it a scout they were sending in? I mean, we're evenly matched. I would actually like to start reasonably close. You'll notice that there is a zone of control. I'm going to deploy here, I think. We've got a high ground, and moving around us is going to come at an extra cost. They've got runners. Okay. Oh, all right. The runners are perhaps have certain abilities that we do not. Let's have a quick look at you. Runners, 14 combat strength, so they do have more combat strength than us, but we have the high ground. They were already a little bit hurt, so I'm not really sure why they came in. Units standing on this tile receive no particular bonus or penalty, so we can just move in. They've already been fairly badly damaged, so their combat strength is lower, so we've got a dramatic advantage here. The minimum health lost here will be 5, maximum 25 for us, but for them, their min is 25 and maximum is 35, so I'm completely okay with going for this attack. There we go. We have deeply hurt them now. And so it's their turn, I believe. They're moving in to try and hold our territory and make an attack, but it didn't really serve them much purpose. They lost their unit, fair enough. Victory over at the Battle of Fumalasamaka. I have no idea. Your population's war support against the Harappans has increased by 8. Now, there's an awful lot to unpack here. I'm kind of glad that we've got a lot to talk about in the first episode. And this, in turn, is going to give us a good foundation because we will have already covered it for future episodes. Now, new grievances available. Time to talk about grievances.
What noble deed shall we perform next, my honored ally?
See, you say that, Shen, but your words and your actions, they tell very different stories right now. We were attacked, or rather they attacked one of our armies, and I can demand payment for that. Now, I can demand it, or I can renounce it. This grievance isn't anything yet. It's just something that I can make a diplomatic move with. Renouncing a grievance is, water under the bridge, and sometimes that can matter to people. and they can be made happy because, you know, we forgave a transgression. Demanding, now that's very different, and this kind of ties into war support. So I'm going to just close that without making a choice, and likewise, the war support here is going to bring all of this up. Acknowledge. So this is the site of this grievance. They attacked me. Now my war support is 50. 50 is more or less the base usually, and it'll tend towards 50 over time. Things that make your people wary of going to war with someone, such as having already lost a battle, will decrease your war support. And grievances against you, or being emboldened by recent victories, will increase your war support. Now, that doesn't mean that your people are thirsty for war, it just means that they will accept it if you choose to do it. If we look in relations now, I can't declare war currently, because to declare a formal war requires 80 war support, and then will allow formal, attacks. We're trying to force them into defeat. The way wars are played out is whoever hits 0 war score first is forced to surrender, and then based on the total war score that the victor has accumulated through the battle, which includes their war support. So if it was a very tightly fought battle and both sides were kind of tired, it's just one, lost their full war support a little bit sooner than the other, then you're not going to have as much leverage to make strong demands. But if you were absolutely decimating and dominating throughout the war and your war support is really high, then you'll have more points with which to kind of vie for greater and possibly more ruinous demands on the losing side. Now, you can declare the surprise war at any time, but it does make you a traitor. While having this badge, it only gains some war support when destroying an enemy district based on the level of the badge. Badges are interesting little enhancements to the game based on your playstyle, but they can also affect how other people will react to you. As you can probably guess, people are a little bit more reticent about forming any alliances with someone who has a traitor badge. So generally speaking, you kind of want to go for proper wars where possible. You can also propose alliances if you're particularly closely tied with someone. Now, as for the grievance, as I said, if I forgive it, it might actually make Shen like us a little bit more, form closer bonds between our people. I can make the demand. If I make the demand, they won't like it, so it will decrease their happiness with us. But we have all of the grounds to make this demand. If we make the demand, they have 2 options. They can ignore the demand for a while without giving us a response, but every turn that the demand goes unanswered, whether positively or negatively, our war support grows. So eventually we can just go to war over that unanswered demand. However, if they accept the demand, we get the money or whatever it is. The demand is based on what happened. If they refuse the demand, our only recourse is to back down or go to war. Obviously, backing down from a demand, it's not exactly a strong leader move. If we were going to make the demand, then we should have been ready to follow through. Are our boasts and our threats empty? That's kind of the signal that we're sending if we always back down when someone stands up to our demand. Or we need to be ready to go into full all-out war with them. So I'm just going to allow that one to sit for now. I might even just straight up forgive, but we won't do that one just yet. Still, that is an important one to bear in mind. Now, with that, our people can move around, and I'm eager to actually get over there if I can and grab this before Shen has the opportunity to. There's actually 2 over there, so that's definitely worth investigating. Now, we could move in and potentially ransack some targets if we were at war. Any tile that is being worked, basically any tile that has buildings on, we can ransack for various benefits. But obviously that is full on a war move, and it's not really what we're looking to do just yet. But my lord, Shen, you scallywag. Culture Chosen, another nomadic empire, has entered this era. Well done. And sadly, those elephants are now clogging the way. Really, can I not just get down there? They may actually win this fight. I'm not entirely sure about this. Still... Sure. Okay, we're going to risk it for a biscuit. I'm going to manually battle because I feel that being in control of this is going to be important. We're going to end the deployment here. We will have the first round. We are a little bit damaged, but we've still got the high ground, and that is the important thing. Having the high ground is massive in this game. Absolutely massive. Because they're attacking uphill. And if they stay on the low ground, then it's going to leave us with an increasing advantage throughout this entire fight. So once again, we're losing 2 from being heavily damaged. They're only losing 1, but we've still got the high ground, so we're now equal in strength. Now, the problem here is the minimum health loss. I really want it to be minimum, because if it's maximum, you can have a Pyrrhic victory. You can win a fight, but still lose everyone in that fight ultimately, which is kind of awful. We lost 21, that's rough. They may be able to kill us with this attack, even though it will probably kill them. Yeah, there we go. We both lost out. That's a shame. It was a risk to take them on. There was a potential high reward there, but oh well. So we're gonna have to send someone else down there quite far. Oh, well. This is interesting. Okay, not great actually. Not great at all. We'd best try and get a unit down there. We're not playing particularly cautiously right now, it's fair to say. Oh, hello. Shen's runners over there. Very well. Next up, let's get you, well, honestly... Now, this is going to be an interesting one, because this can demonstrate another facet of combat. I am, if any of you have got movement points, you don't. Well, that's fine. We're going to pull into this war, just so I can illustrate how having extra units nearby is going to play. Our side is weaker overall, but not really. In battle is Shen's runners, 13 strength. They're very fast movers, so that does make sense. We're going to go ahead and go into a manual battle here. We have got to claim this tile to win. End deployment. Now, we do have units within this area, but they are outside of... they're out of moves. So I'm just going to pass the turn here. I'm going to see what they're doing. They're moving down to try and hold that land. Fair enough. I'm going to move up even higher, if I can. I can't just yet. Okay. Well, right now we're kind of both in a fairly strong position. Now, I could make the attack, but then they'll get a turn to attack me as well. And they are in the stronger position right now. I'm going to end this turn just to see how this plays out. Are they going to make an attack? They did not. So at this point, let's move up.
Off we go.
We're going to hold this zone. And we are now hidden. Battle West. Defeat. It lasted for 1 turn and 3 battle rounds. Oh, okay. So so that battle was completely over. Did we lose the unit? Did they straight up die? No, they got sent back. Interesting. Now, I've not seen a battle end in any other way than one side killing all of the others. So this is the first time I've seen what happens if there are people left. So because I guess no one actually attacked, it was considered a null fight. What I was trying to do was to pass enough turns that I could pull in my other units into the battle, but that's very interesting. I guess more you know, I suppose. All right, well, since you're up there, you may as well heal up.
In constructing an emblematic quarter, you have become a builder and a creator. There is more to creating an empire than just yelling orders.
That's fairly true. We managed to grab some curiosities. Very nice indeed. We've got another unit to hunt down here, but sadly, having these units turned on to auto-explore, I'm seeing the problem with that is they move at the beginning of the turn, which is kind of a pain. But we have someone that we can't see well enough yet to actually interact with. Okay. Well, let's just instantly win that battle. There we go. A little bit of cash. And let's move on the next turn. Now, this unit has gained some veterancy. So it's gained 1 extra point of combat strength. That's actually pretty cool to see now. Does that show at all if I hover over? No, you've got to have gained the first point of veterancy to be able to do anything. But this does mean that instead of absorbing this area, I really need to get an outpost in both of these zones, because we're starting to run out of time to secure some good lands for ourselves. Either way, though, Manu, let's go ahead and we could either replace a unit now. We've got 1 out of 9 population. But I'm feeling more inclined towards getting another Maker's Quarters over here. Actually, no, because that won't open anything up for us. Whereas if I place this down, I will gain some more food. Alternatively, I could absorb this area and gain some more food that way. But again, I'd rather avoid that for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the farmer's quarters here. We're not going to get much food out of it, and we're going to lose 3 industry, but it will give me 3 different tiles that I can then start exploiting to up onto the hill, and I think that's going to be a stronger strategy there. Oh yeah. Calendar researched. Now that they are living in permanent settlements, villagers want to track the changes of the seasons and organize the planting of crops. Very well. Very happy with that. Next up, I think it has to be domestication, so that we can start tapping into the horse resource that we have available to us. Now then, first and foremost, we could straight up go and have an attack. And there is something to be said about that. It's equal power, but you are hurt. We would probably win that fight, so let's go ahead for it. Here I am, saying that Shen is a scallywag, but it appears that I'm just as much of one. Alright, so I think that's a decent location to be deployed. Oh, they've decided to try and pull me forward. Okay. Well, if I go down there, they're going to have a stronger chance to defend. Whereas if I just move here, and let's just move in. They're already wounded. I'm going to hold this position. Now, they have to stop me, because if I'm in control of this by the end of the round, I win by default. Alright, let's have a look. No, they will stand the stronger chance of winning. But if we push, then their next push is probably going to kill them. So yeah, let's go for it. There we are. Now they're going to come in, be almost wiped out. We can finish the job. There's virtually no way that we can fail at this point. There we go. And now I would like to see how Shen reacts to that grievance. Okay, victory there. Acknowledge. Now, one of the things to be aware of is that war support will have changed.
Seek the greater good.
+5 from one grievance being triggered. -1 from war support above equilibrium value during peace. So we're at peace, so this will slowly work its way down. In terms of the crises, they've now got 2 of these because, I should have made that first one count. Shh. You notice though that there was no particular reward for having taken them out. It was just literally taking them out. All right, we need to get a territory over here ASAP. Now, in terms of this territory, where would be the best one to place? It doesn't over matter. We could literally pop the territory there, or we could expand out a little bit and then move it in a future turn. Let's go as far south as we can. Maybe even on the coast, perhaps. This is good enough, I think, because this is close enough to an area where I'm going to be able to get some food, so this outpost is going to be able to grow. So let's get down there. It's going to cost me a decent amount of influence to do, but it's well worth it ultimately. This is basically going to block this territory from anyone else trying to claim it, which is what I'm trying to do. Over here, exactly the same. It's going to cost me a fair old few points to play. It's odd how it doesn't actually tell me how many points, though. Does it say somewhere? No, it really doesn't. That's an interesting one. Right. Well, this place is just going to be a breadbasket for the Empire, I feel. Let's try and select a place which does have some nearby potential for industry, though. Again, breadbasket of the Empire. You know what? Sure. Let's have a quick look at this tile. Prairie River, River Spring. Okay, so +4 food there. So sure, let's go for the 6 food.
Negative.
Can we not? Cannot be done without 30 influence. Ah, right, of course. Okay, well, we'll hang tight then. We could place one here and have both river springs available. All right, we'll pass this turn for now. And with that, you're still on the march. We could... Yeah, let's push downwards. Getting this area is probably going to be a little bit more important just because of the copper. Still, we're basically every 2 turns we can place another outpost, but that's probably going to be true of others as well. We'll see how that one goes. That being said, our emblematic building is providing extra influence for us, so that is actually quite nice. If we have a look over here, of course, as well as having the natural wonder over there, that's actually been quite nice for us. Ransack successful. What do we get from it? 10 gold. Okay, that's pretty good. Now then, I feel, once again, breadbasket of the Empire is going to be a stronger play. And it seems that one's going to be the better option. Okay, well, yeah, sure. Since the goal of this area is just to bring in food, that's fine. With that, we are now within our territory, so I can go ahead and heal up here. And I may as well. Now, for you, it's going to be another 2 turns before we can place down another outpost. So let's do a little bit more scouting. Find out what this area is going to be like once we've claimed it. It's quite a large territory, that one, so it's going to be quite an important claim. Same over here for Manu. Right now, we are very aggressively expanding. Usually not quite this aggressive. At this point, and considering we're going to be going into enemy territory, I'm going to have our units merge into a single regiment. I think that one's going to be a good call. And you know what? Since we've now got a regiment, I guess we need a name. Everyone, welcome! The High Kaiser Regiment, the first actual named army, which means I'm going to be doing my best to try and not let these ones just die. We will be filling out all of these available slots over time and trying to keep the units in this army up to spec so that we can make a long and hopefully illustrious career for the soldiers in the High Kaiser Regiment. There we go. Now, with that done, time to end our turn and see how things go. All right, we've got a idle city. Marvellous. And we now have, because of calendar, we have the Artisans' Quarters. +3 money per adjacent market. So if we build this anywhere that I can put markets down, then that would actually be ideal. Though it'll be a while before we can get over here and actually hook into these. Still, worth doing. This will give us a little bit of food, and it'll also give us a goodly bit of money. Additionally, anyone who has seen this resource will then be able to purchase it, which will be an important one for us. We've also now got the granary. +2 food per farmer, which are these. So that will bring us up to 8 food per farmer, and it'll activate an extra farmer slot, which is just as well because we're going to be getting some more people very, very soon. So I think that one is quite a nice one. Public ceremonies remain. These are now... It's going to be easier to get 5 food as well, which is actually quite nice. But sure, let's go ahead and go for the granary right now. I'm not going to start expanding out our warrior force just yet. I don't think we're ready for that one just yet. As for... Let's have this group move on further south. Do a little bit more exploring. Oh, if we can get up there, it's going to be grand. We're going to have sight over everything. Okay, a little bit of something down there we want to grab. They seem to have come up right from the south along the coast. Okay, so we might be able to hem them in around here. There's lots of mountains over here, and that is useful for a number of reasons, actually. Namely, that there are some wonders that can only be built on mountains. But as for you, let's get you into a position where you're going to be able to set up a new a new outpost down here, ideally very soon. And with you, let's begin making our way southward. Oh, there we are. Something for us to go and collect. Let's try and make that happen. Of course, you'd already used up all of your turns. That is a bit of a pain, but sure. We've not actually met this group yet, which is funny because I can see that pin on the map, but at least I know where I need to be going in order to try and interact with them. I will stand by there. Right, we've now got enough to build a new outpost, but we have urgent affairs that need our attention. Well, first and foremost, let me just check in the map. Okay, we're at 100%, which means that at that we've got settled. The city's population either love or fear you, perhaps both. Positive events are more likely to occur in the city as long as we can keep that nice and high. Losses, we've got 2 districts, which has given us minus 20 stability, but overall, the stability from everything else is quite aggressively outshining that. Let's have a look at this event. This is one of the really nice things, is the events in this game. By what right do we rule? We have. Ah, really? I don't want to use up my culture. Okay, so we've got civics now. Our culture and our society is now a view that we can have on the map. But show the details of this civic. Founding myths. But by what right do we rule? Do we rule by natural right or divine mandate? And this will affect our ideological stance. We've got 4 axes. We've got collectivism and individualism. We've got homeland and the world. We've got liberty and authority. And finally, tradition and progress. Now, if we go for natural right, we claim inherent dominion over the land and beasts. If we choose this, it'll cost us 10 influence. That's fine. We can still found an outpost with that. But that will actually move us up one entire category. There's 5 points within each kind of bracket along the axis for any of the ideological stances. But this one will move us from having plus 10 stability on all cities to plus 5 stability on all cities, but plus 5% science on city or outpost. So that'll increase our science outpost, plus it'll give us 5 extra influence on the main plaza. The main plaza is kind of the core of the city, from what I understand. Or we can go with divine mandate. Our supremacy is ordained, for we are the chosen one. This will move us into more traditionalists. This will give us plus 5 stability on all cities and plus 2 faith on territories. Now, this one is an interesting one because if we get this one early, it opens up religion and allows us to start progressing through the religious tree. As much as I am inclined towards natural right, and especially the 5 influence, I think starting faith off early is probably a good call. So we're going to enact divine mandate. So there's a little bit of role play as well. You can choose based on like min-maxy reasons what's going to be the best for your current playstyle, or you can choose to try and actually found an empire that makes sense even if some of the choices are suboptimal. We're going to go for divine mandate.
If the gods hadn't chosen us, somebody else would be standing here.
Indeed. See, it's logic. Our logic is undeniable. Right, let's see about founding... now we need 40. Damn it. Okay. Well, so another turn at least. Well, that is kind of a pain, but we can live with it. Let's continue on down our way and see what there is to see. This is a very big mountain range.
Rapid and dangerous,
okay.
Hittites. Get ready to hear the sound of chariots when you least expect it.
All right. So, they've already absorbed a territory into their city. This is now straight up a territorial border. So this is all one big city at this point. I can't move into those lands anymore, which is exactly what I was about to do, which is kind of a pain in the bum, but okay. One of the interesting things here is, unlike some games, where once you... if someone changes their border stance, whether you're allowed in their borders or what have you, but you're already there, this doesn't just automatically kick you out, potentially across several, kilometers worth of distance. Instead, you have to just leave of your own accord, but for every turn that you remain within their territory, you suffer damage. You suffer like attrition damage. So it is within your best interest to get out as quickly as you can. But we just gained some extra influence. We gained some extra research, which is quite nice. But now we've got a bit more of a trek to try and get out of these lands. All right. Well, I guess no time like the present to start. We've got one idle army. This idle army is going to hang tight in this area because I very much want to set up an outpost on the next turn. Ooh, that is a free people army. Now, these are mercenaries. They're indifferent, young, Nock with hardy pearl millet providing a dependable food source. Even in drought conditions, the Nock concentrate on their artistic endeavours, notably their terracotta sculptures. These are two spearmen. Do not want to play with them. No, that's 1000% not what we want to do. But we do have news from the borders.
Here is a proposal to get your heart racing.
Well, hello.
A good idea from a good friend? Let me hear it.
I like that we're good friends, Fitz. Well done. Okay, so you would like to open trade for luxury resources. That's a good first step, I feel. We can see how everything is set up here. Hesitant, their archetype is vindictive. Well, I mean, fair. Now, ours isn't because I'm playing my avatar, but we actually do also have that. Interestingly put, their archetypes are exactly the same. Loyal, trusting, and vindictive. So we'd have exactly the same result if we were meeting our own avatar. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead with that. There's no reason not to, and that will improve things.
Celebrate the agreement. No surprise that it is a pleasure to speak with you.
Oh, well, I'm very glad you think so. Very glad indeed. But with this, we should be able to just go ahead and found... What? Why do I now need 90 influence? Oh. Is it because these have finished building? Well, that's quite the pain in the bum. I mean, you know, it is obvious that the costs are going to continue to ramp up, but that happened a little bit faster than I was expecting. I'm not going to lie. All right, then. Well, we've got a couple of things that we need to do. Well, let's go ahead and end the turn. I'm going to take us several turns now to get over to that point, and there's some... Well, that's not so great. I'll be honest with you. Oh, it looks like we might be able to go over the mountains there. All right, so it does look like you're getting close. A little bit too close, frankly. Urgent affairs. Terror of the bovines. The Empire is mired in tradition and beholden to the past, but no city is more unenlightened than the metropolis of Manu. In this superstitious place where heresy and myth run wild, farmyard animals are now being put on trial for crimes after a herd of cattle was sentenced to be burnt on a pyre for conspiring against the Empire. One wealthy landowner has had enough. Now he petitions you to intervene. What is your stance on the judgment? Okay, I concur. We drew great strength from our religious traditions. The customs of Manu will be respected. That'll give us fanatical, so plus 25% faith. Overturn. The herd can be saved on condition the landowner makes the city a breadbasket for the Empire. Okay, we've said this phrase far too many times now. Bountiful on Manu for a couple of turns. Or scorch. It's time Manu became more enlightened. These archaic customs must be swept away. Now that will move us back out of tradition, which is currently giving us a bunch of faith. This one will move us even deeper into tradition by 1 point, and overturn will move us towards the collectivism ideology. I think we're going to go with this one ultimately. There we go. Now it looks like we have got the Hittites have special interest in this place. Okay. And so do the Harappans. Okay, so Fitz and Shen both want access to Mapils. Very well. We've got a while to go before we can afford the next outpost, but it shouldn't be too terribly bad. We've got a wild bear over there, which isn't great. Let's continue to merge our units. The world is getting very small very quickly. You can spend a little bit more time over here, though. That being said, I wouldn't mind building an area within range of this lake if I can. Perhaps even here. It'll give us some good food, some resources there, but we'll be able to build a harbour and then access the resources of the lake as well. Might be a worthwhile option, though. It's only going to be 2 tiles. As you've noticed, we can access trade goods from far away. We don't need to have built our city next to them. Let's end this turn. Wasat's population has gained +1. Fantastic. Let's go and have a look. Very nice. Very nice indeed. We zoom in. Outpost creation. We're still on the way towards getting that outpost, but we'll have it soon. So they're already growing quite quickly. Right. As for you, there is mammoth down there that we're not going to play with. Let's instead move in this direction. Okay, so this area does have access to copper, which is nice. And we can't get down. Okay, well, we may as well go back around then. But you've already got one fairly expansive city. Shen is claiming more areas down there, as one might expect. Now, do we have enough? No, we need 90. Okay, well, let's get over here and hopefully we can get that in time. I want to move away from the barbarians for now. Don't really want to deal with them. Oh. Plitvice discovered. The Harappans discovered the stunning Plitvice Lake. What? Oh yeah, of course, they did move through here, so that makes sense. Population gain, very nice. Well, let's just try and grab up these resources while we're down here. But with that, we can now claim this territory, which is going to be very important for us. Resource sold. Access to your pearls was purchased by the Harappans for 90 gold. Now, this is the part on trade I was waiting on. If we go in here, we can see that they've got marble. They can see that we've got pearls, and they have paid a license, a one-time fee, effectively, to have it. On all cities, +1 money per trader and +4 stability. On all cities, +5% money, +10%, +10 stability. Wondrous effect. Natural pearls from the shelled mollusks are exquisite, iridescent objects of beauty with great value. You must exploit at least 2 out of 4 deposits of this type and research the patronage technology to upgrade this resource's effects. So you can make them even better if you've got enough of them. +1 access from your city, +1 from Manu. Now, they have this the effect in their cities, basically, as a result of buying it. We got the money that they spent, and now they have a license and a trade route has been set up. That trade route can be disrupted, however, in the future. Or if we go to war, then all deals are off, as one might expect. But it's really interesting in that it's not like whereas in Civ, we've lost access to that because we've traded away. We still have access to it. It's just they now also have access to it. By having more of them, then we can upgrade its effects. But that's and I believe that is per individual. The trade node here is where this trade is going to Shen's empire. And the same is true of strategic resources, but instead of, whereas in Civ 6, you expend strategic resources, so building a unit requires X much iron, for example. Here, you can build a unit if you've got a certain amount of iron resources available. So some units, just having 1 node of iron will mean you can build them, but some might require 2, so you have to have 2 separate nodes, or perhaps 1 node yourself and you're trading for the other, or trading for both, and so on and so forth. It's a very interesting system. Now then, where are we going to settle this outpost? It definitely needs to be over here, and it definitely needs to be set up reasonably soon, ideally. We could pop one around here. That's 13 and 5, 19 and 2, 24 and 2. It's quite nice. 22 and 4. Maybe. Let's have a look around. 25 down there. I think definitely having one in about this area is a wise move. And I guess right there gives us the most. Let's go ahead and get our outpost set up. This will then be our territory, which I'll be very, very happy about. Sadly, taking on this mammoth is going to be a mammoth task. Oh no, why? Why do I keep doing it to myself? Alright, instant resolution on this one. There we go, nice and easy. Got 20 gold for taking out the mammoth, and we will have gained access to this node next. There we go. It looks like this independent city has... The Nock are an independent city now. So we are right up against their border, which is an interesting one. It is getting very, very tight around here. New grievance available. Oh, no. Oh, they've attacked us.
Friends or foes?
Okay. Acknowledge. I may just allow this to count down. Open up. Okay, both sides are evenly matched, but, well, actually, yeah, we are completely evenly matched. However, this group have a slight advantage in that we have got more... well, actually, let's move here so that they have to move past us. We've got, I assume, more veterancy. No, never mind. Okay, fair enough. We're both equally matched in that regard. But they're attacking from low ground, which gives us a distinct advantage there, and that's the end of that. Okay, but we do need to get our scouts out of here rather sharpish, because we can't have another fight like that. We will just straight up die. All right. Well, we've made a start. We are kind of... I'm going to be honest, we're kind of boxed in at this point, namely because of the knock. That might be a bit of a thorn in our side, and one we may want to try and remove sooner rather than later. That being said, we do have 2 locations that we could try and expand into, but I feel that this is going to not be doing us any favors in terms of our close proximity. Our borders are close to them. Indeed, they are. So that's going to be increasing problems. But we did just gain some war support, whereas they lost a decent amount of war support. They are militarists, though, so there's that. Right, in terms of... Shen, if we have a look over here. Okay. Our borders are close to them. There's not much that we can do about this. They do depend on access to our resources, though, and that is going to make them disinclined to cause too much of an issue for us, which is a good thing to keep in mind. So having close trade ties does improve reputation overall, but you've got some units that I don't really want to see over here. You've already got scout riders, so you've definitely got access to horses then at this point. So with that, I'm afraid that we're going to have to wrap up today's episode. It's going to have been quite a long one. I apologize for getting sucked into the game. Only, I don't really. I'm sorry, not sorry, I guess. But I hope you enjoyed this first episode. Do let me know what you thought in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed what you saw and you want to see more, do remember to leave a like on the video. And until next time, do take care, everyone.